welcome. It's Brian up here in Kingfield, Maine. I got a really cool one to show off this evening. It is, January 2nd, 2023. And what I've got here is a 1920s-ish, I'm guessing, the Vernon. This is a model that was distributed by C.N. Bruno out of New York. And you can read in my description, I go into a little more detail about that. But Bruno was a musical instrument company in New York from about the mid-1800s right up into the 20th century. And they ran a whole bunch of different lines. They were actually a Martin dealer for a while, and they had some Martin guitars made for them that had their name on them. Stamped inside with Nazareth and Martin, but they were Bruno guitars. I'm sure they also sold, Regals and Harmonies and Stellas and things like that. The Vernon line was a registered trademark, and I found some information online regarding it. There's a guy named SNathanielAdams.com that has a lot of good information on the Chicago makers and a lot of these early 20th century guitars. The one thing he says is that Bruno literature never actually admitted who made these Vernons. So it's kind of an enigma. It could be Chicago made. There's a lot of Chicago guitar makers back in those days. But if it is, it's definitely one that had some higher end embellishments. The grained ivory binding front and back. The really beautiful fiber marquetry purfling all the way around. The center strip up the back. Just the way the neck heel construction is very fine. It's a lot more refined than a lot of the Chicago ones. I've read online, Jake Wildwood's blog had a write-up on one of these. He was hypothesizing that maybe it was a Haynes or Baystate, which was a couple of manufacturers that made stuff for Ditson down in the Boston area. But at any rate, this is the Vernon, like the label says on the inside and like it says up on the top. And the Vernon trademark covered guitars, ukuleles, mandolins, banjos, tenor guitars, all kinds of things. This is a Model 22. It's got 22 stamped on the back of the head. And when I got a hold of it, she was a little bit rough. I should say he. His name is Vernon, right? So he was a little rough. Ladder brace guitar, one significant top crack that was there. The bridge was loose, and it was an old skinny bridge that had the wire saddle on it. The fretboard had no frets on it, and it looked like a replacement. It was definitely didn't look as old as the rest of the guitar. And it was sort of an ebonized material, but it was cut for bar frets. Well, I've never done bar frets myself. Any of you guys that watch my videos know I'm just a hobbyist. I'm a jet pilot with half tinnitus hearing, and I do this as a hobby. But anyway, I decided I didn't want to mess with bar frets, especially on a fretboard that just was some ebonized whitewood of some kind, or pear wood or something. So let me talk about what I did with this. I had broken braces on the top on the inside. I had loose braces on the back on the inside. A big crack on the top. A fretboard that needed some frets. Neck was in great shape. Body itself was in great shape. And here, drum roll, please. This is really why I just loved this thing. This is just a gorgeous book-matched Brazilian rosewood back and sides, and it is solid Brazilian rosewood. The grain matches on the inside from what's on the outside. This is not a K veneer or something like that. So this is just absolutely stunning Brazilian. The top is 100-year-old spruce, probably Adirondack back then. That was kind of in this region, so who knows, but really beautiful golden patina to it, and really just the one crack, and that's all sealed up nice and tight. I pulled the binding off the back, and I took the back off because I had to get to where all these broken braces were. And I repaired the ones on the back. So the back braces are the original ones. The center strip up the middle is the original material. Then I took the top braces. The top braces were broken in 3 significant spots to where they really just were not usable anymore. And I had to really think about it. Do I want to make this back into a ladder braced guitar and just make new ladder bracing? Or while it's apart, maybe X-brace it? Well, guess what? I'm a big fan of X-bracing. Martin loves it. It really makes a higher end instrument. The sustain is better. I think the lows are better. And don't get me wrong, I love a well ladder brace guitar. My Recording King, this one over here, 1938, is absolutely awesome. But this one needed so much, I decided to re-brace it. So I've got some quarter sawn spruce, 1/4 inch scalloped standard X-brace pattern with about an 88 degree at the X. It's about 1.5 inches back, so it's not really forward shifted. It's back where a parlor guitar would normally be. It's got one tone bar down here, which is a very light scalloped piece of 1/4 inch quarter sawn wood. Underneath the bridge is a 1/10 inch thick rock maple bridge plate, just about the footprint of this bridge, not much bigger than that. This is a brand new African ebony carved pyramid style bridge with a compensation angle and a compensated bone saddle in place. Moving up the body, we've got a brand new African ebony fingerboard, 24 3/4 inch scale from the nut to the saddle. Brand new medium size gold frets. I've got the 579 dot pattern done in a nice mother of pearl, the square diamond style. And while I had this all off and apart, I put a carbon fiber rod in the neck. So this neck is now reinforced. I'm running silk and steel strings on it, but I think with this bracing and with that carbon fiber rod, I wouldn't be afraid to run 11 to 52 phosphor bronze on this. It's got a very beefy, full-size neck. It's a beautiful V. It really feels like I've got a 1923 Gibson in here, an L4, and it kind of feels like that. It's got some heft to it. It's 0.92 inches thick right here between the first and second fret to the top of the fretboard. So it's a handful of neck. When I put it all back together, it didn't really take much in terms of cosmetics. It was so clean already that basically I just sort of cleaned up where the mildew and stuff was and wiped it all down with True Oil. So this is just a True Oil finish, very lightly hand-rubbed finish. And it's just, I think that back is just spectacular. Original tuners. I already said I did the bone saddle. This is a hand-carved ebony nut. I decided to go with ebony, like what was period back in those days on a lot of guitars. The neck is either Spanish cedar or mahogany. I'm not sure which, but one of the two. And all in all, she's just a great little player now. Very similar in size to like a Washburn 111, like an 1897 new model. Sort of like a size 2 Martin or something, I think. I'll have to look up those specs. But anyway, it's 12 1/4 inches across here, 9 1/4 on the upper bout, about 18 inches end to end. So with the neck reset and the straightness of this neck, the relief at the 7th fret is beautiful. It's like 0.007. And then I've got about 5/64ths under the low E and about 3/64ths under the high E for action. So it's very comfortable. And just, I think the X bracing really just adds to these old guitars. The sustain is nicer. Cold fingers. I've been skiing with my granddaughter all day. Very comfortable finger picker and flat picking. 1920s, the Vernon, distributed by Bruno and Sons. Not really sure who made it. Could be a Harmony, could be a Stella, maybe an Oscar Schmidt, you name it. If anybody knows from watching this video and wants to send me a comment, I'd love to find out some more. I'm going to put my money on like Baystate or something, but at any rate, this is a spruce, solid spruce topped Brazilian rosewood, back and sides, double bound, grained ivory, ebony bridge, ebony fretboard, X-braced, 100-year-old American guitar. It's a heck of a way to get into a vintage instrument. Thanks a lot for watching. See ya.